right, today I'm going to give you the most comprehensive gut guide you will ever need. So, I'm going to give you a full background on everything about the gut, what can affect it, what is the root causes of a poor gut, and then ultimately how to fix your gut. Supplementation, diet strategies, structuring your day, lifestyle integrations to help you heal your gut and fix your gut and optimize it for optimal health. Okay, so it's going to be very comprehensive. If it gets a little too sciencey or whatever, don't be intimidated. All right, if I can understand this, you can understand it as well. And I mean, it's been working for the success of my clients and everything that I do inside my practice. So to begin with, let's start with, first of all, you technically, so you aren't what you eat, you are what you absorb. So what that really means is that if you're not absorbing the nutrients that you're taking in, obviously you're going to become nutrient deficient and you're not even like getting what you're eating. Okay, so this is a big issue. So leaving you with, if you get into nutrient deficiencies, then you're not going to have the specific minerals to do daily functions like thyroid function, hormone function. So big thing here. Okay, so I'm pretty much going to break down to everything you need to know about your gut and then what affects it and then how to fix it. I'm going to give you a 4-step process on how to heal your gut entirely from the inside out, no matter if you have IBS, Crohn's, colitis, IBD, autoimmune disorders. Like, this is going to help you. Okay, so to begin with, all disease begins in the gut. Now that's subjective because a lot of things can stem from external sources and even internal sources to wreak havoc on the gut. So it's kind of a give or take thing. Okay, so first of all, I want you to think about gut issues are much more than just bloating, constipation, acid reflux, or anything like that. Like, gut issues could be the root cause of a lot of the problems that you're experiencing on a day-to-day basis. So we're talking about like autoimmune diseases can stem from the gut, skin disorders, okay, hormonal imbalance, hypothyroidism, nutrient deficiencies, like all these things can come from a poor gut. So if you're just having like hypothyroidism, you don't want to just take thyroid meds without even like looking at the gut because conversion happens in the gut. Okay, hormonal imbalances, your hormones get detoxed out the gut. So with a poor gut, you have, poor hormone balance. Okay, low testosterone, PMS, estrogen dominance, um, all those things. Okay, it's because around 80% of your immune system is housed in your gut. So with an incompromised gut, you also have an incompromised immune system. Okay, so this is something that should be noted. Okay, if you feel like you're always getting sick, I would also look at the gut, see how you're feeling. So big thing here, I always want you to remember, if it just because you're bloating, constipation, acid reflux, like all those things, yes, those are gut issues. But even issues like this, like hormonal imbalance, thyroid issues, skin issues, acne, those can stem from poor gut. Okay, so I want you to think about the gut is often referred to as the second brain of the body. Okay, there's something called a gut-brain axis, which I'm not going to get too into, but essentially your gut and your brain are connected into each other. Okay, they send signals to each other. Okay, so the gut is much more than a digestive organ. It's pretty much like a central hub for everything and influences all systems in your body, from hormones to blood sugar to thyroid. Okay, all those things, they work together. So not only does it help digestion, it also influences your immune system, obviously, because we talked about 80% of it's in the gut. Brain health with a neurotransmitter imbalance, hormonal balance because hormones get detoxed out of the gut, and then even emotional well-being. So all these things also influence with gut health. Okay, so by addressing the gut as a foundation for health, you can pretty much make long-lasting change throughout your entire body. Because like we said, all disease begins in the gut. So looking at the gut first is one of the most vital things for you to do. So essentially taking a functional approach to gut health. So conventional medicine often targets specific symptoms of gut-related diseases. So they think like PPIs for acid reflux, GERD, and things like that, and then like infections, and they're using antibiotics. Maybe you're taking a bunch of Marilax and things like that, just to covering up the symptoms though, but you're not really getting to the root cause. Okay, there can be a lot of root causes, gut imbalances coming from diet, lifestyle, toxin exposure, and then just pretty much your own microbiome diversity, which I'll get into microbiome health and all that. So obviously symptoms of gut issues, abdominal pain makes sense, bloating makes sense, you know, reflux, loose stool, like all these make sense. But we're going down to, even like losing weight can be a gut issue. So say micronutrient deficiencies, which that means that, let's say you become, deficient in like iodine or selenium or tyrosine, like that will also affect thyroid, conversion. So yeah, that can be a big issue coming from the gut. Nothing to do with thyroid, because you're not even absorbing the nutrients. Hair loss, coming from like even poor thyroid function, like dry skin, same thing, fluid retention, hormonal imbalance, estrogen dominance, anemia, same thing, acne as well. So all these things are stemming from the gut. Always look for the root cause. Okay, so first let's talk about digestion. So we're going to go into why I think it's important, because it's how we can understand this process will kind of just help us in the healing journey. So just you thinking about food, smelling food, or seeing food can activate digestive enzymes in your mouth. Okay. I think you know what I'm talking about when you're looking at food and you can already like taste it. And so that's kind of when digestion starts. Okay. So after it breaks down the food, from the esophagus, it goes into the small intestine. And then this is where most of the digestion happens. Okay, after digestion of the small intestine, undigested food, waste, and water passes through your large intestine. Okay, so it passes through here. Your large intestine reabsorbs water and electrolytes and produces nutrients. Your gut produces nutrients. Remember that. So think about it. Your gut produces nutrients at each of these spots in the duodenum, large intestine, the stomach. So this is a big thing. And then obviously you excrete it through stool. All right, the gut microbiome. So the gut microbiome is as unique as your fingerprint. The gut microbiome is composed of various microorganisms that play several important roles in your body. So you have the gut microbiome, like the whole microbiome, and then you have microbiota, which is like the particles inside the gut. Okay, so inside your gut, you have like commensal bacteria, which is just bacteria that's not good or bad. It's just kind of there. Opportunistic bacteria, so good bacteria, and then fungi, pathogens, some of it can be positive and then some of it can be negative. Okay, no matter what bacteria it is, even if it's good, if there's an overgrowth, that can cause issues like IBS. But I say cause issues like IBS because that's what you'd be labeled, but technically it'd be something like SIBO, which would be small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. So that's something to be looking out for. So pretty much like we're talking about, like we look at your genetics and your age. All right, obviously, because your microbiome is as unique as your fingerprint, and then we take in environmental factors, and then that's how we get the microbiome that you have today. Okay, so talking about diet, bacteria, probiotics, prebiotics, antibiotic usage, age, genetics. See, like all these things. So we have internals, things that affect the microbiome, and then we have external things that microbiome, and then we combine them, and that's how you get your own, um, microbiota. And then, depending on where you're at, if there's an overgrowth, then we have disease, and if it's okay, like if everything's solid, then, obviously we're staying at homeostasis. Okay, so nothing, I'm not going to really get too into this part right here, but pretty much just talking about what does your gut do. Obviously regulate gut motility for you to use the bathroom, excrete, back what we were saying before, produce vitamins, everything you need for that. um, you know Transform bile, get out of the bad bacteria, eliminate foreign substances, absorb minerals, obviously destroy toxins, produce short chain fatty acids, and provide anti-inflammatory effects for the immune system. Okay, so I want you to think about this too. I want you to look at this and take a look and say, so the microbiome and depression connection, like this is a real thing. So there's a lot of studies that are saying that if you are dealing with a gut issue, you most likely are dealing with anxiety or depression. Now, a few things can stem for that. When you have a poor gut health, you also have poor neurotransmitter balance. Okay, so what that means is that your neurotransmitters a majority of them are housed in the gut. So neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, like the feel good, adrenaline, oxytocin, things like that, like the feel good hormone, the happy hormones. And if your gut's a mess, you're not producing enough of it. You're not producing enough of serotonin. 90% of serotonin is housed in the gut. So what that means is you see a lot of people with like IBS, you know, like a majority of the women that I've worked with, they got labeled IBS and they're on birth control. Both things can lead to you being on like an SSRI because the gut is a mess and then your hormone balance is a mess. So like hormones are the way you think and perceive the world. So you're really thinking about like, oh, okay, now we're seeing like what's really going on. So think about that. Poor gut health and depression. There's a connection. So here's some things of poor gut health besides like the normal, bloating and things like that. So like allergies, dealing with a lot of allergies because the immune system's getting compromised because if you have poor gut health, the immune system's not, fully intact. So makes sense. Same with autoimmunity. Your body starts to attack itself because, gut health isn't, proper. And then bone health, obviously, if you're not absorbing the minerals, you become nutrient deficiency, and then all the calcium and things like that don't get absorbed correctly, leaving you to things like osteoporosis. Brain function, we talked about the gut-brain axis. There's like dysbiosis, like an overgrowth of any type can lead to, conditions even like autism, like a neurodegenerative disease as well, like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. Cancer, there's been research done. Certain cancers like breast and colon cancer, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, gastrointestinal health, which is like the majority of ones that you're familiar with probably, like IBS, IBD, Crohn's, H. pylori, Candida, those are those. Obviously, if you're always sick, immune system, skin health, okay, and thyroid disorders. Like all these things can stem from poor gut health. See how we're talking about the gut is like one of the most important things in our body systems. So what affects it? So exercise and sleep. If you're over exercising, you're not exercising at all, you're pretty much stressing your body. Either way, I find it hard. People find a sweet spot. Okay, sleep. If you're not getting enough sleep, that's obviously going to be stressful in your body, which then when that stress happens, it starts to tear the mucosa lining, leaving you with a leaky gut, essentially. You're not having enough fiber to feed the good bacteria in the gut and keep it healthy and flourish. You don't have enough digestive enzyme secretion because your body's so stressed out, it's not, excreting digestive enzymes. So that will cause poor gut health. Environmental toxins and pollutants, stress levels will affect the gut. Antibiotic usage, it will tear out all the good bacteria. Artificial sweeteners and food additives can, disrupt the gut microbiome. Intake of fermented foods and probiotics, if you're not having enough, that will affect the gut microbiome. And then obviously your diet quality will affect your gut microbiome. So a lot of things can impact it. Okay, it might be overwhelming, but you can definitely do it. Okay, so we think about it as IBS is essentially like just like a band-aid. It's just like an umbrella diagnosis, meaning we're not sure. The doctors are not sure what's going on. You've kind of probably got all the tests, colonoscopy, and now you're stuck. But what is the root cause of IBS? And a lot of people, there's a lot of potential root causes. It's more than one, sometimes. So obviously, like we look at gut infections, like if there's an overgrowth or dysbiosis or anything like that, that will cause, IBS. And doctors are not, doing like specific testing for that. So that makes sense. If you're overly stressed, that can wreak havoc on your gut. You're not secreting digestive enzymes. So now you got like bad bloating, constipation. You might have like a poor gut lining. So you might have leaky gut, which then will cause more inflammation, so things like that. Liver dysfunction, your liver's not excreting, bile through it. You're not, having proper stools. You're not regularly going to the bathroom. Just overall systemic inflammation cause IBS. Hypothyroidism could cause IBS. Okay, because your thyroid and your gut have a relationship together. Thyroid gut axis, heavy metals, and then leaky gut. So pretty much conquering IBS is all about figuring out and uprooting the root cause. So meaning you want to figure out what is the reason why your gut's a mess. Don't just take it as I have IBS, I have to live with this the rest of my life. No, think about it as, what is the reason why I have IBS? Like, what are some of the causes for it? So now we can get into how to fix and heal your gut. So this is pretty much going to go over like a simple 4-step process to kind of just, shift the whole microbiome into a healthier state. Okay, we don't want to like just slap a Band-Aid on. Essentially, what we want to do is take a strategic approach to healing it. Okay, so right here I made it very simple. It's a 4R approach. Okay, so like, but I want you to keep in mind that like thyroid issues and hormonal imbalance can also be the root cause of your gut issues. So look at those external factors as well. But most people think that what they need to do is take a bunch of probiotics or random gut supplements. They need to, eat really small meals or fast, and just kind of just take random tests without taking any action. So we're not going to do that today. We're going to take, consistent action. We're going to engage in it, and we're actually going to work on healing from the inside out. So the first step is going to be remove. We have to remove all the negative things. Now, I don't want you to think, oh, we got to remove, we got to take a bunch of supplements to remove. No, first thing you got to actually do is remove the things that you're already taking in that's affecting your gut. Artificial sweeteners, a bunch of caffeine, alcohol, processed foods, wheat, corn, soy, dairy, gluten. These things are like all things that you can stop doing right now to start to heal your gut. Now, I'm not saying eliminate them forever, but just for a period of time. Cut those out for a little bit, okay? Trying to get things fixed up and healed, okay? And then from there, you can work on using specific targeted supplementation to help kill off any bacteria overgrowth or parasites or anything of that nature. So antifungals can help with things like candida. Antiparasitics can help with things like worms. Antimicrobials can help with things like SIBO or dysbiosis. Okay, so what I do have here, though, is you can get this. I have a link here. You're going to get this PDF too. And this is like my number one. I like to use with clients no matter what the issue is, because it helps flush out the gut and the liver, which is very crucial. So cleans out the bad bacteria, keeps in the good bacteria, and supports liver function, which sometimes is majority of the root cause as well. So I got the discount code, and this is what it looks like. The second is replace. So when we have a poor gut already, we're not secreting digestive enzymes properly. We're not digesting the food correctly. We're becoming nutrient deficient. So what we need to do is utilize support. Now, I really like this brand of digestive enzymes. Now, we're still, doing the things as we did before, eliminating the food allergens, getting rid of those negative things that affect it and flushing the bad bacteria out. But we also now want to bring in digestive enzymes. Okay. So this brand I use, digestive enzymes, this product utilized is one of my top ones. I've had people with IBS, we reversed, Crohn's, we reversed, and this is like their favorite product that they like to use because it comes in little packets and has all types of digestive enzymes in there. It has bile salts, pancreatic enzymes, hydrochloric acid, like all things that you need with the whole digestion process. All right. So after we flush the bad bacteria, support enzyme production, step 3 is what we're going to want to do is repopulate the gut microbiome. Okay, so we flush you don't want to start with a probiotic because you could just be adding more bacteria. Okay, so we want to just flush the bacteria out and then bring in good bacteria, step 3. So this can come from targeted probiotic supplement and then eating fermented foods, and then kind of just doing that. So you can use other bacteria like Saccharomyces B, Sac B is what I call it, but then it's a probiotic, helps with yeast, reduce inflammation, Megaspore. My favorite is Flora Protect. It's just a comprehensive probiotic blend. I'll get into probiotics because that's a whole thing in itself, but this is the top one I like. Very universal, like anyone can use it, but don't use it until we started killing off the bad bacteria. Okay. And then step 4 is to repair that mucosal lining. So we have to heal that gut lining through diet, lifestyle, and supplementation. You should always be repairing, okay? And so what that means is that we're talking about your mucosal lining. So you have a gut lining, okay? And then when that gut lining becomes, permeable, it starts to split. They call it leaky gut. But when it starts to split, that's when toxins, bacteria, and things like that can flow out. Okay, when this will cause you to have a leaky gut, which then will cause inflammation, brain fog, thyroid issues, weight loss resistance, and things like that. So the best gut products for repairing the gut is glutamine, helps seal the gut lining and reduce the inflammation on the GI tract. Same with zinc carnosine. Like these two right here, top ones I say. Honestly, we just focus on zinc carnosine. That's why I linked it. Yeah, start taking that. You definitely will see differences. So what I did here too was give you a gut support bundle. So this in its entirety is probably like, the most bang for your buck as well. It has, so the Metagest is a digestive enzyme for you. The glutagenics helps with, GI inflammation, mucosa lining, and then the mucosa repair also helps with flushing the bad bacteria out on the gut, and then strengthening the immune system. So definitely just a resource for you as well. Okay, so let's talk about dysbiosis and overgrowth. So back to what we were saying before, this could be a root cause of a gut issue. Root cause of IBS. So essentially, when you're having like a dysbiosis or overgrowth, it can cause thyroid issues, hormone issues, and metabolic issues. So leaving you like weight loss resistant. Okay. So things that can, how can this occur? Well, obviously poor diets, toxins in the environment, impaired digestion, specific medications, diabetes, all these things can affect, the gut microbiome, leaving you with an overgrowth or dysbiosis, things like SIBO, Candida, H. pylori. So what is leaky gut? So it's not specifically a disease, but it's talking about how well your gut barrier is intact. Okay, so I want you to think about it as you pretty much have your gut lining like this. Okay, let's just talk about it like this. You have your gut lining, and then when it starts to, so you have your gut lining, okay, and then even like through stress, inflammation, toxins, your gut lining starts to split. And when it starts to split, it becomes permeable. And when it becomes permeable, now toxins and bacteria can flow through it. Now the junctions are not tight anymore. So what happens then is it gets into your bloodstreams, and then it pretty much creates like a systemic effect of inflammation from brain to body. So that's why you see these symptoms on the right of anxiety, depression, asthma, brain fog, fatigue, skin issues. Like these things are coming from a leaky gut because now toxins are flowing to the body. Okay, so here's like a good image for you. So we're talking about, this is like what a normal gut function would look like, and this is what a leaky gut would look like. Toxins flowing in. So how can we fix it? So obviously what can cause it, we talked about that, but focus on that 4R gut approach that we talked about. Okay, using a lot of things to help reduce the inflammation, flush the bad bacteria out, removing the negative things that affect the gut too, like those medications, food allergens, things like that. And then just, repairing with immunoglobulins, which was actually in that gut bundle, glutamate, butyrate even, gower gum, zinc carnosine. If I had leaky gut today, this is what I do. Everything, make sure it's whole food, single ingredient, number one. Second, stay hydrated. Third, take zinc carnosine and glutamine. Those are my top 3 things I would do ASAP if I was dealing with leaky gut. Okay, and then obviously manage stress. So that was just some things you can do there. So let's talk about bloating. Okay. First thing about bloating is just identifying why you're even bloated in the first place. Is it from too much artificial sweeteners, food additives? Is it you're eating too quickly, not chewing properly, drinking too much liquid with meals, like even that, dehydration, low stomach acid, gut infection or overgrowth, hormonal or thyroid, stress, PMS or dysbiosis. So just kind of going over that. And then pretty much the best way to figure out how to get rid of the bloating is to understand how are you getting it. Okay, because then you become more self-aware. I'm like, okay, this is what's causing my bloating. Okay, so do you eat too quickly? Do you drink too much water, carbonation with meals? Like those can cause bloating. Sleep and stress, diet. This is things you can read through too. Menstrual cycle. Do you have any PMS or irregular cycles? And then do you have like joint pain, muscle aches, brain fog, constipation, trouble with weight loss. So it could be your thyroid. So your bloating cannot even be anything done with the gut. It could just be with, your thyroid or your hormone balance, like PMS or hypothyroidism. Same with constipation. So pretty much if you can't really use the bathroom and, stool, then pretty much you can't, hormones can't get detoxed out of the body and the metabolism cannot be in full function. So, because you're supposed to be detoxing hormones out. Okay. So a big thing is if you're not using the bathroom every day, you could be estrogen dominant. Okay. Obviously, it's not it's not only extremely uncomfortable, but it can lead to estrogen dominance. Like I said, gut dysbiosis, SIBO, and even like pelvic floor disorders. Okay. And then also could worsen your thyroid disorders, and obviously leaving you with even non-alcohol fatty liver disease. Okay. And then nutrient deficiencies. I won't get into it too much, but these are just some tips on how to fix your constipation. Number one thing is obviously getting to the root cause of the constipation. But here are some other tips that you can do. So you can just pause this and go through. Okay, probiotics. So probiotics can help balance the gut microbiota, strengthen the intestinal barrier, and reduce inflammation. Okay, so it can help with leaky gut. It can help strengthen the gut barrier, reduce intestinal permeability. But the main thing I want you to look at too is that the strain equals the function. So it really depends on what type of probiotic you're using, because each probiotic strain has a medicinal property, which I'll show you on the next slide. What that means is that not all probiotics are the same. Different probiotics have different uses. Okay, so let's check it out here. So I want you to first look at this. So first of all, we'll start here. So there's a genus, species, and strain. Okay, so almost like different types of dogs too, like canine and things like that. So genus is Lactobacillus, species is Asaphadolus. I butcher that, but and then the strain is NCFM. Okay, so kind of looking at this, so like the genus Lactobacillus is very common. You'll see these in a lot of probiotics, and then the species are depending on whatever it is and the specific strain. So like strain equals function. So the main thing is you're always going to want to look at the strain 100%. So we look at here. So like different strains have different indications. I wrote this out very well for you guys. So different strains. It's like if you're dealing with weight problems, you want to use, this type of strain, B420. Okay, it's usually a number as well. Okay, so you can pause that. Okay, so number one of the best tools I like to do with people with gut issues is GI map. So this pretty much can tell you what's going on inside. It's a stool test on what's going on, in the microbiome. So what I'll do is I'll give you guys a sample test here. So a sample test is here, this is from, client. And then what we'll do is we'll take a look at the bacteria pathogens. We'll get into if there's any parasites. It's a very comprehensive test, like H. pylori, anything like that. It's a very good test. Dysbiosis, everything that we're talking about from before. Fungi, yeast, candida, so things like that. So those are all things that can help, with the gut. I also have a link here. You can actually order one. You can order a GI map test to your house. Okay. Yeah, I got a discount code too, so you'll be able to use that. So no matter what, always start with the 4R approach, then work into other modalities. Always start out with the 4R approach when you're looking to heal your gut, just like I went over. And then after that, go into other ways that you can support your gut. Okay, so you definitely want to, obviously remove the bad things because that could be the cause of it. And then, work on flushing the bad bacteria out and then restoring enzyme production and then bringing back good bacteria and then all that fun stuff we talked about. But just really focus on that. And then after that, go into other ways like specific lab testing, even because you don't even have to jump in right away with lab testing. You can honestly start with this 4R approach. Like most of my clients, we don't jump into lab testing all the time right away because we know that if we run the process, we'll see the progress. And, with 100% success rate at the moment, we're looking at different, we're just following the process and they're seeing just great results. So definitely. So yeah, so if you want to, get one-on-one help, heal your gut, fix all your issues from the inside out, lose the weight, increase your energy, destroy the bloating, you know, increase testosterone, erase PMS, that's when you want to call me if you're ready to do that. Okay, so I'll be able to, give you a full gut protocol, help you heal from the inside out, and essentially, get to the root cause of your health issue to get you in the best shape ever and look and feel your best. All right, I hope this was valuable for you guys. See you later.